Hello, and welcome to my existential crisis. My name is Madison Epley,
I'm Hailey Guthrie.
and we're going to be your hosts. Happy Halloween!
Yes. By the time you guys listen to this, it will be Halloween. Celebrate wisely, check your candy.
Yeah. Hailey, how are you? Just to get started, how are you doing?
I'm okay. A little bit of a headache. Just living life. I'm here. How are you? How are you, Madison?
I've got bronchitis. So it's that's been awful. So now I'm an alto, and you can hear that nice rasp in my voice.
I feel like you
Um,
always have bronchitis.
Yeah, I feel like I always have bronchitis too. It
Yeah.
really sucks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's great. I guess just to give some background on us. Hailey, do you know how long we've been friends?
Oh God.
I'll give you the answer, but I want you to guess. We'll do the
Like
math.
like 10 years?
Yes, Hailey,
Gee.
we've been friends for almost half of our lives.
Aw, that's cute.
That is really cute.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
funny. You thought I was annoying at first, though, so
I did. I did think you were very annoying.
that's usually how it goes. That's usually
Yeah.
like the consensus is like, wow, she's annoying. Then you get to know me and it's like she's still annoying, but like she's cool, I guess.
Yeah. Like she's annoying, but sometimes I want her to annoy me? Yeah. So we've been friends for 10 years now, which is bananas. And we met on the bus going to school.
We sure did.
We did. I was in 7th grade. Hailey was in 6th grade. What a time.
Gross. No, was it?
One Direction was thriving.
The what was thriving?
One Direction. You were at
Oh,
least
oh,
you
yeah.
were yeah.
Still am. Still
Yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah, no, Harry. I was vehemently against One Direction, and now here we are. So I guess, why did you want to start this podcast?
Because you asked me to, and I would do anything for you.
Thank you for
Worship
your
the ground you
honesty.
walk on.
Thank you for the honesty.
You're
I,
welcome.
I appreciate it. That makes me feel both good and bad, I guess.
No, I mean, I also just love talking, and I like I'll talk about anything. So like,
Yeah, you're great at it.
thank
We're
you.
doing great so far. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess, I have anxiety. I know you have anxiety.
I have a lot of anxiety, yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've always liked this kind of stuff. And by this kind of stuff, I mean the things that we're talking about, such as
Right.
ghosty stuff, mysteries, murders, true crime, uh, all of those things. And but they also give me anxiety. But talking about them makes them feel better. Yeah. So, Haley, where do we go from here? I didn't think the beginning intro part through.
Nope.
I only planned out my stuff.
Welcome to my existential crisis. This is the podcast where we address all the strange things that are going to make us question our entire sense of self.
Yes, this is what you signed up for, everybody. All right. Well, to start off, first, I recently got back from Scotland, which was very fun. And I wanted to do a Scotland story. So I was, looking through some things, and I thought I was going to do like a short, obscure, fun, quirky story. Not that murder is fun or quirky, but I thought it would be like short and like kind of funny.
Right.
And it was not. It was not at all. And so the story was not short. It turned out to be one of the most infamous murder duos of all time. Hailey, have you ever heard of William Burke and William Hare?
No, I have
No.
not.
All right. Well, before I get into them, I will just read you this little fun ditty that I found. I'm just gonna read it, okay? Up the close and down the stair, Butt and Ben with Burke and Hare. Burke's the butcher, Hare's the thief, Knocks the boy who buys the beef. And that is a 19th century Edinburgh jumping rope rhyme, much like London bridges or all of the other.
I wanna.
What's the one about the Black Death?
Uh,
Ring around the rose, ring around the rosy.
Ring Around the Rosie.
Yeah, it's like that because
I
love that.
They were weird back then. They were like.
Imagine if that's like the equivalent of us writing a jumping rope rhyme about the pandemic.
That's the equivalent of a bunch of celebrities sitting in their $1 million mansion singing Imagine. Oh, wait.
Oh my gosh, that happened. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, from that rhyme, I'd like to draw an inference.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a boy that gets died. Gets died?
What an inference you've made.
Okay, I'm not even gonna try to
You're doing great.
Fix that.
You're doing great. So next, I want to start with a fun fact. Hailey, do you know what the bloody code is?
My first thought was like, it's what you say like when you're on your period. Like, oh, is Aunt Flo coming? That's the bloody code for you.
Bloody code.
Obviously, I know that's wrong.
Or
but
it's
that's
like
the first
it also
thought that
sounds
came
like
into my mind.
a pirate thing, like the bloody code. Like super like I don't know. They had weird codes, I guess, back then. Didn't they have like a pirate's code? I don't freaking know.
I don't know. Do I look like someone who knows anything about pirates?
Kind of,
actually. Don't answer that.
Okay, so the bloody code is the name for the English penal system in the 1800s. Why? Because of the sheer number of crimes where death is punishment. So by 1815, 215 crimes could have you sentenced to death. Would you like to hear some of those?
Of course.
So first off, starting strong, murder.
Yeah.
Arson.
Yeah. Okay.
Forgery. Cutting down trees.
Listen, they were onto something with that one.
Smokey the Bear will have your ass with arson and cutting down trees. Stealing a sheep or a horse, or stealing from a rabbit's warren. And what is a rabbit's warren, you might ask? Well, I have just the answer because I thought the same thing myself. A rabbit's warren is, you know how like ants, when they burrow underground, they have like, you like see like this whole it's that, but rabbits, so it's huge. So that's one definition. The other definition, which is what this is referring to, is breeding ground for game. So just like a pen of rabbits where they just do their thing and multiply.
Okay.
Yes. But stealing rabbits. This one is really awful, and this is kind of where it starts to get dark, and I'm very sorry. And trigger warning for this is really awful. Being an unmarried mother concealing a stillborn child. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. That one is just awful on so many levels.
We've come a long way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We, like, come a long way since then. We haven't done a full circle moment at all. At all. Anyway.
Stealing anything more than a shilling, which in today's money is 30 pounds or roughly $35. Destroying turnpike roads or wrecking a fish pond. So those are just some of the crimes that could have you sentenced to death. And why am I telling you this? Why is this relevant? Why do I care?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
After the Bloody Code was reformed with the Judgment Act of 1823, which made lesser crimes able to have lesser punishment for the first offense, just the first one, there then became a shortage of bodies for anatomy students to use, since they could only legally use the cadavers of those who had been condemned to death. So the University of Edinburgh was an esteemed university for medical science, and Dr. Robert Knox was the head of anatomy at this university, and he began to pay people who could produce bodies. So grave robbing or resurrectionists became a huge problem. They would go so far as to put like cages over graves called mort safes or mort cages, or like heavy marble slabs over them so people couldn't steal
I have
from
heard
them.
about that.
Yeah. It was a really, really big problem, especially in London and the UK. Anatomy murder was, what people would do to make money, easy money in that day, because the fresher the body, the more money you could make. And this is where William Burke and William Hare enter. So we're going to start with Burke first. Burke was born in 1792 in Erney, Ireland. He worked a variety of trade jobs until in 1817 he left his wife and children and he moved to Scotland to work for the Union Canal. And the Union Canal, the main way for materials and supplies to be brought to the capital, Edinburgh. Wait, Edinburgh, I don't know if that's the capital. I think I just said that. Hold on. Edinburgh.
Sometimes I just say things. Sometimes I just talk without really knowing what's going on.
Yes. Okay. I was great. Yes. Okay. I want to make sure I was not wrong. Yeah.
How funny would it have been if you were?
I would have been so upset at myself. All right. So that's the main way materials and supplies were brought to the capital. Then later, he moved in Edinburgh in the West Port, and he met Helen McDougall, who became his mistress. And then later, he became a baker, a weaver, and a cobbler, blah, 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 more trade jobs. Hare was also born the same year, 1792, in Ireland. It's disputed where exactly he was from, but he was from the same province as Burke. And also, similarly, Hare moved to Scotland to work for the Union Canal as a laborer. So when he moved to Edinburgh, he met a man named Logue, who ran a place called Tanner's Close, which was a lodging house. And he ran that with his wife, Margaret, in the West Port, the same place that Burke was at, in case you were wondering. Well, when Logue died in 1826, Hare kind of just like swooped in and shacked up with Margaret. So Margaret ran the boarding house, and then Hare just kept on working down at the canal. Are you following so far?
Yeah, I got it.
Perfect. So while they both worked for the Union Canal, it was here in the West End, Westport, where they met and became friends, since they were basically like neighbors. Burke and Hare, really good friends now, good buddies, they're neighbors. Hare has this boarding house. In November 1827, an elderly army pensioner, which, do you know what a pensioner is?
No, I do not.
Okay. So basically, in America, if you get a pension, it's basically like a retirement fund from a company.
Oh,
so basically, he was an elderly army man who was on Social
pension.
Security.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He was living off of his pension.
Okay. Can't wait
his
for
name
that to happen to me.
Yeah, well, pensions don't really happen anymore. It's mostly Social Security.
Shut up.
That is kind
Let
of
me dream. Shut up.
Okay.
Shut up.
Okay.
Shut up.
Okay.
Keep going about your story.
All right. Okay. All right. So
let me have my dreams.
This old elderly man, he lived a long life. He was in the army, just trying to, get by.
Right.
His name was Old Donald, and he passed away while renting a room from Hare. And this made Hare so mad. He was furious because Old Donald, which that is his name, Old Donald had died with £4 still left unpaid, which today, in today's money, is roughly $570. So it was a decent chunk of change.
It's just like if something is unpaid from something like that, can it come from I feel like that's a legal thing.
Yeah, it's not. Back in those days, though, it's kind of chaotic.
Oh, yeah. Nothing's kept track of very well back then.
No, you die, that's it. People would stay places without even paying, and they'd just be like squatters. I mean, that's squatters today. I don't know what I'm talking. I'm gonna stop talking now. All right. So
sometimes I just say things.
That's why we started a podcast. So he died with £4 still left unpaid. So, Hare, knowing about Dr. Knox and how valuable bodies were nowadays, Hare teamed up with Burke to sell that body to Dr. Robert Knox. And so how they concealed it from, because they still had a funeral for him.
Right.
They stuffed his casket with bark, so it was heavy, but they didn't want to be discovered. They didn't want to be like, oh, where's the body? They wanted to like have, makes sense. I'm rambling now. They stuffed the casket with bark, and then the duo were paid £7 10 shillings, which is roughly $1,000 for the body.
Dang.
So, they made some decent cash. It's not as much as you'd think a body would go for.
Well, this is also what? When was this? The 1800s?
1827.
Yeah.
But it's still. I would hope that I would at least get $10,000.
Well, now you would. Now you would.
I don't know.
I feel like back then people didn't know all the uses that bodies had. Like now we have people now we have organ donors and things like that.
That's
so
true.
I don't know when organ donors started being a thing, but I guarantee it wasn't in 1820.
I don't think it was the 1820s. I guess you're right, but
yeah. I think I would pay at least $10,000 for your dead body, just so you know. You're welcome.
That's so sweet.
Probably 10,500.
Okay, that feels like a fair price.
I think so too.
That's reasonable.
Yeah,
I think 15 might be the highest.
When you consider the fact that I have no money, you should just be really happy that I would consider purchasing your dead body for that much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Puff. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so they realized they could make some serious cash like this. So then, over the course of a year, and with the help of their wives, they enticed 15 more victims to their boarding house. In early 1828, tenant Joseph the Miller fell ill while he was staying at Tanner's Close with Hare, and they were like, this is going to be our next victim. But they got really impatient waiting for him to die on his own. And it's rude of poor Joseph the Miller. He just wanted a place to stay. And then this happened. So
wait, Joseph the Miller?
Joseph the Miller.
What is up with the names in these stories? What is going on here?
I mean, you knew what he did.
Old Donald and Joseph the Miller.
They're descriptive. I mean, Donald's old. He's old. And Joseph is a Miller. Or you at least hope he is.
Yeah, wouldn't it be so funny if he was a fisherman?
Or dentist. What if he wanted to be a dentist?
Good for him. Live your dreams, Joseph the Miller. Anyway, tell me about how he died.
Okay, sorry. So, the pair grew impatient, waiting for him to die on his own, so they decided to speed things up. So they got him really, really drunk on whiskey, and then they suffocated him by sitting on his chest so his arms were pinned down, and then covering his mouth and nose with their hands. And this became their favored method because it left the bodies undamaged and unmarked, so the students could dissect them, they would get more money for them, and also they would get a higher price for them because they were unmarked, and they could also go undetected from foul play.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, not so fun, smothering a victim like this was coined as burking, and just anatomy murders in general were also referred to as burking for a while. I don't think anymore. I don't think we use that term nowadays, but
this is the first I'm hearing it, so I'm going to assume no.
Cool. So there's that. So these bear are not a patient bunch. Poor Joseph, he couldn't just die in peace if he was going to die at all. So they were even more impatient. So they were trying to wait for more sickly tenants. So they began to search for victims on their own. And they would search for them in the poorest areas of the community where people were less likely to be missed or less likely to even be noticed missing, which is just really sad. In February 1828, they invited another pensioner Abigail Simpson to spend the night before she traveled home, and using their same tactic, getting her drunk and then smothering her, they fetched 10 pounds, which is roughly $1,500. So Abigail did get a little bit more money than old Donald. After Abigail, Burke met two prostitutes, Janet Brown and Mary Patterson, and invited them to breakfast at Tanner's Close. Margaret, Hare's wife, and Burke, it was reported that they had broke out into an argument. So Janet decided to just peace out because, it's kind of awkward when your hosts are arguing.
Right.
And so she left. But Mary stayed. But when she returned in the evening, Mary wasn't there. And so she was told that Mary left with Burke, which she did, to go to Dr. Knox. So, yeah, not good. So they started to get really greedy and sloppy, and they didn't leave anyone safe. Other victims included Effie, a beggar woman who was an acquaintance of Burke, a woman Burke, quote unquote, saved from the police by vouching for her character. So, like, she was in trouble, and I don't know why he was at the police station. He probably should be there for many reasons at this point. But he was like, hey, I know her, or hey, she's a good person, and let her go free. And then that was his next victim. This one's really awful. Are you ready? Okay, this one's awful. Not that they're not all awful, but like this one is not good.
Particularly.
Yeah. An elderly woman and her blind grandson who fetched 8 pounds each. The grandmother was killed from an overdose of painkillers, so I would assume that, she had those painkillers and she was ill or not well. So that's how she passed away. But then Burke killed the boy by breaking his back against his knee.
Oh.
Like, can you imagine that? Like, how awful would that? Oh my gosh. It's awful. So, normally, they would transport the bodies in tea chests, which, if you don't know what a tea chest is, it is apparently just a chest that you would store tea in.
Self-explanatory.
Yep. I did the research for you. But because they had 2 victims, they wouldn't fit, and they had to use a herring barrel, like a fish barrel, and they loaded it into a cart. But Hare's horse, because of the weight, would not pull the cart. So they had to get somebody to help transport it. So whenever Hare got home, he was so angry. Again, this guy's hot-tempered. He does not have patience. He does not have any kind of healthy way to like blow off steam. So he shot the horse and killed him. He also killed an acquaintance of Burke's named Mrs. Ostler, a relative of Helen, which is Burke's wife, named Anne Dougal, a former lodger named Elizabeth Halden, who she asked to spend the night because she was down on her luck. So I don't know if she got evicted or like if she was on the street, but they had known her to spend the night before, and she was like, hey, like, can I just stay the night? And then they killed her. And then months later, Elizabeth's daughter Peggy stopped by after not hearing from her mother for a while, and then she too was killed. Like I said, they were getting really greedy. They were also getting really, really sloppy. And their next victim was very well known in the community. What I'm about to say is really awful, and I am sorry, but I'm just saying this once because that was the name that he was referred to in all of the articles that I had read. He was an intellectually disabled boy with a limp named James Wilson, but everyone referred to him as Daft Jamie. I'm sorry, that's awful, it's not good at all. But Jamie, and they held him down and they suffocated him. So it didn't say if they got him drunk, but I'm assuming not. It seemed like this one was more of a struggle. They were just getting really desperate. So, Jamie was really well known in the community. His mom began looking for him and asking for him, and, word got out that Jamie was missing. The next day, Dr. Knox unveiled him to his students, and many of his students recognized Jamie. Knox vehemently denied it was him, and then again, awful. He began removing his feet because they were physically deformed and recognizable because of his limp.
Mm-hmm.
And then he even began dissecting his face first, which is not normal practice, as I hope you would imagine.
Yeah.
So it would go undetected, which is just terrible. So one day, an argument broke out between Burke and Hare because Burke thought that Hare and Margaret were cutting him and Helen out of deals with Dr. Knox. So, Hare's the one who had the boarding house, and Burke was just like the guy who did a lot of the dirty work. He decided that Burke and Helen were going to start taking tenants of their own. He's like, you know what? I don't trust you anymore. I want to make sure I'm getting my own cut in this. On Halloween, 1828. So her name is disputed. I've heard a lot of reports said Mary, a lot said Margaret, Marjorie, Margie. I'm just going to say Doherty, which is her last name. On Halloween, a woman named Doherty would be Burke and Hare's last victim. And she was invited to stay with Burke because Burke was like, hey, my mom's also a Doherty. So, we must be distant relatives. And she's like, oh, okay, then I can trust you to stay with you. Burke had other tenants. Their names were James and Anne Gray. And since he wanted to kill Doherty, he was like, hey, you guys can stay with Hare for a little while if you want. So I don't know what reason they gave. I don't know if they were like, hey, we're fumigating, or like, hey, there's some cockroaches in your room. We're going to get that taken care of. But for like a couple days or a day, Hare invited them over. It could have also just been like, come on over for dinner and stay the night. I don't really know. But they stayed with Hare temporarily so that he can murder Doherty. When James and Anne returned, they were told that, Doherty was evicted because she had been flirtatious with Burke. And then Anne got really suspicious because Burke wouldn't let her go into one of the rooms where she had left some of her belongings. I think she had like stockings on the bed and like a couple other things that she had forgotten when she went to stay with Hare. And Burke wouldn't let her in the room. So that was kind of fishy. Whenever Burke and his wife left, James and Anne, they wanted to check out their room. So they did, and they found Doherty's body hidden under the bed. So, they see the body. They're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this is not cool. They start running out of the house to report it to the police. Helen, Burke's wife, caught them before they could leave and tried to bribe them with 10 pounds a week if they would keep quiet. And if you remember, this was crazy to me because 10 pounds a week. The bodies, I think only one body that I reported on got 10 pounds for.
Yeah, where are they getting that money from to pay them 10 pounds a week?
A week? How many murders are you trying to do? Like, that's nuts. That's $1,500 a week. That's crazy.
No, I can't legally say what I was gonna say. Never mind.
No, what? No, you have to say
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know, man. $1,500 a week changed my life. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
that could change your life.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, if I were them, especially back then, when like,
I see. Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It is a hefty price.
Yeah,
that's the thing. If you could be insured that you could get that money.
Yeah, like if we put it in writing that they're going to pay me this money.
Yeah.
Like that's $78,000 a year.
That is some quick math, girl.
Well, because I have a calculator.
Oh.
And then $78,000 in
no taxes. That is just straight cash.
I'm trying to find the value of like what. Man, I can't even. It's a lot of money. It's a lot.
What were you trying to look up?
I was trying to figure out how much like what would, because $78,000 right now is $78,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But back then it was worth even more.
Yeah.
Like in the 1800s, $78,000 was millions of dollars.
Oh, you're trying to like do that math?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out that math.
Okay, so
But I
it's
can't
not,
figure it out.
it's not that. We already did the math.
Yeah, $78,000, but I don't know what it was.
So it wouldn't have been millions of dollars back then.
Yeah, it would have.
No, because okay, so it $78,000 is what it would have been their equivalent to.
Yeah, 1500, but money was like more back then.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Oh, right. 20,000. Okay. Yeah, $20,000 in 1870. Not the exact time, but close enough. It's equivalent in purchasing power to be about $450,000. So nearly $500,000.
Yeah.
That was 20,000. And that was years forward. Okay, so you're right. 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 Yeah. It was
like that's all I'm saying. Like you would rise tax brackets very quickly in that scenario. That's all I'm saying. So like I mean there is something to be said, like if you know for a fact that you are getting that shmoney, I mean
that shmoney?
You'd have to like would it be shitty to say to like agree to that situation? Yeah, morally wrong, but I don't know. Money talks. And I listen, unfortunately. Anyway, continue.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, they were bribed with 10 pounds a week. They would keep quiet, and they refused. I know. They had stronger morals than
most
Hailey
people
does.
do.
So they went to the police station. Helen, Burke was around, and Helen told him, and by the time the police arrived, the body was already delivered to Knox. They were still in trouble, obviously. Someone reporting a dead body, even in the 1820s, was not taken lightly. I mean, you saw the list of the bloody code, or the bloody code. Like, it's extensive. So it was not taken lightly. Helen, Burke, Margaret, and Hare, they were all arrested. They were taken in for questioning. And they all gave different accounts as to what happened. So, like, Burke said that Doherty had left in the morning, and Hare said that she left in the evening. And then there was an anonymous tip that was revealed. So someone had ratted that they had seen Doherty in Knox's classroom. And then they were all officially arrested. So first it was just questioning. Now they are in trouble. After this, an Edinburgh newspaper revealed these disappearances, and Janet Brown, if you remember her from before, she was one of the prostitutes. Mm-hmm. She went to the police station to identify some of Mary's clothing. And actually, this is a very fun fact. Originally, they were not reported as prostitutes. It was only later discovered that they were prostitutes because Mary had been recognized in Knox's classroom. She had been recognized by Knox's students. So Knox's students were having a good time with Mary, and they recognized her. So that's how it was confirmed that they were prostitutes. Not that it matters, sex work is work, but I just thought it was a fun fact.
Was sex work even illegal back then? I don't even know.
I believe it was, because I remember hearing other stories where like lesser crimes of like forgery and sex work would be put in prisons together, because like they would put people with like similar intensity of crimes together. It's like murderers and people would be together, and then like other people would be put together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't say that right.
Well, you're fine. I don't understand things very well anyway.
No, you're understanding them great. I don't explain things right all the time, which is unfortunate since we now have a podcast. But, okay. So, Helen, Burke, Margaret, Hare, all arrested. But even despite all of this, there was very little hard evidence that could point to Burke and Hare. So police went to Hare and they're like, hey, if you blame all of this on Burke and Helen, then we'll give you and your wife immunity. And this is apparently called turning king's evidence, as like ratting someone out, which I didn't know, and I kind of want to start using that phrase. Turning king's evidence. So, the trial began on Christmas Eve of 1826, where Burke and Helen were charged for Doherty's death. Burke was also charged for the deaths of Mary Patterson and Jamie Wilson. Helen was released later, as her conviction was deemed, quote-unquote, not proven under Scottish law. I tried to figure out, like, what happened, and it basically just seemed like the Scottish, because she was Scottish, it just kind of seemed like they were like, no, that to be they can't. Wait, she's not. Ignore what I said. So I'm a dumbass. They're in Scotland. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm so stupid. All right, so Helen was released later. Since her conviction was deemed, quote unquote, not proven under Scottish law. And Knox was aggravatingly not prosecuted despite public outcry, because Burke admitted that Knox didn't know where the bodies were coming from. So, like, they didn't tell Knox where the bodies are coming from, but, like,
he knew.
Knox definitely, he knew where the bodies are coming from. I mean, like, you got two guys who are bringing in dead people on the register, and yeah, and you're like, this is natural. This guy's got a broken back, but this is fine.
I'm gonna cut into this guy's face. Not because I think he was murdered or anything, but
just because for fun. Yeah, exactly. So, while waiting for his execution, Burke wrote a lengthy confession where he revealed that he did commit 16 murders. I think there was one that he said Hare committed while he was on a holiday with his wife. But it seemed like he did a lot of the dirty work, but Hare is by no means innocent in this. But on January 28th, 1829, Burke was hanged at Lawn Market in front of over 25,000 people, and they were cheering. They were so happy. They were filling the streets. It was one of the largest crowds for an execution in Edinburgh history. And people even paid 5 to 20 shillings to watch his execution from people's windows. So if 1 shilling in this day and age was worth, how much did I say it was worth? I said 1 shilling was worth about $35 US dollars. 35 times 20. You could be making some serious change. I can't do the math right now, but you get it. See, I'm not good at math, but you got a calculator. Yeah, $700 people were just making in pocket change just so people could watch Burke hang. And this is why I wanted to do this story, because this is the kind of fun part. After Burke's death, his body was donated to the same medical institution he sold his victims to be publicly dissected. So I guess he got his comeuppance. I'm just going to tie some loose ends on this story and give you some more fun facts about birth. So Helen, Burke's wife, like I said, she was released after it was deemed not proven that she had committed those crimes. She was attacked by an angry mob, because everyone, right. The civilians are going to get their justice. They're going to take care of it. It's thought that she went to go home to her family in Stirling, and then it was later rumored that she had moved to Australia. Like I said, Knox was not prosecuted, but, he did continue to pay for resurrectionists until very soon after all of this became unraveled. He did lose favor with his students and the university, and he was fired. He moved to London because he lost all of his status. He lost all of, his collegiate achievements, all of his memberships he was in, all these clubs and social standings that he was in, he was kicked out of. So basically had nowhere to go in Edinburgh, so he moved to London and lived out the rest of his days there. Hare, oddly enough, Hare was released and then just never heard from again. People don't know where he's at. There was rumors that a mob came after him and he was kicked into a river and became a blind beggar, but I think that's just all speculation. I don't think anybody really knows what happened to him, which is really bizarre. Hare and Margaret did not stay together. Margaret, they tried to lynch her, but she escaped, and we think that she left to go home to Ireland. Again, not entirely sure. So after these murders and a variety of other murders, the Anatomy Act of 1832 was passed, which allowed medical facilities greater access to cadavers, and it allowed for the legal donation of bodies after death to science. So that they realized, people are just killing people to get this money. This isn't cool. We've got to have a better, safer, more legal way to do this. Alexander Monroe, the dissecting professor of Edinburgh University, wrote, "This is written from the blood of William Burke, who was hanged at Edinburgh. This blood was taken from his head." So, whenever Burke was murdered, all of these anatomy students were taking, souvenirs from his body. They were taking his skin, his blood. This professor took his blood and was writing in it as revenge. Students made notebooks and pocketbooks out of his skin, and you can see them, and it's kind of creepy because it looks just like leather, which is freaks me out. I know that leather is skin, but seeing how close human skin looks to leather, it just really gets me for some reason. So I looked at them, and it did literally just give me chills. So if you want to go take a look at them, you can. They're online. Just type in Burke skin notebook and you'll find it. I don't recommend be on your own personal computer when you're doing that. And Burke's skeleton is still on display at Surgeons Hall in the University of Edinburgh's Anatomical Museum next to his death mask. So that is the story of William Burke and William Hare.
That's so messed up, the things people will do for money. I mean, I know I literally just said but okay, listen. I would be making listen. I would be making $1,500 a week. I would be making more than they did on almost all of their bodies combined that they gave them.
It's true.
It's the amount of money is what I'm talking about. Gotcha. $78,000 could change my life.
I mean, I feel like $78,000 isn't enough for me to want to commit murder, though.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not saying committing murder. I'm saying the hush hush money.
Okay, you're saying hush, but
which do you think is worse morally?
Hailey, if I killed somebody, and I mean, it's kind of fucked up. I love you, but that's kind of fucked. I don't know which is worse morally, but I mean, even today, that's kind of...
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying I would not...
I'm not saying I would be... somebody, are you also just as guilty as they are?
That's a question. I don't know.
Hailey, if I killed somebody and you came over and you saw a dead body under my bed and I was like, Hailey, I will pay you... How much was it a week?
It was $1,500 a week.
If I will pay you $1,500 a week to not tell a soul... Would you want an explanation, or would you just do it? Would you not do it?
I'd keep quiet for free. I love you.
Well, thank you, Gupuff.
I mean, I'd have some questions I would like answers to, but I mean, I can't. I don't know. It's just money is so I don't know. You need money to survive, unfortunately. So a chunk of change like that.
What if someone killed you for that kind of money? Would you be like, I get it?
Probably. If someone knew that they could make $78,000 off of killing me, I'd be mad, but I get it. Money talks.
Money talks.
Money talks, and I listen. All right, am I up now?
Yeah. What do you have for us today?
So mine actually, what I'm going to talk about also has a cute little, jump rope rhyme. You may have heard it.
Oh, fun!
Yeah.
Fun!
Yeah, you may have heard it. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
41.
So obviously I'm talking about my girl Lizzie Borden. And fun fact, that is not correct. Which I will get into. The rhyme is a lie.
It's not correct?
No, but I'll get into that. So,
I thought you meant her name was not correct.
No, her name was...
I thought you were like... I thought you were like,
No.
Lizzie Borden, which is not correct. That
No.
is not her name.
No, I meant the rhyme is a lie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the rhyme is a lie. No, her name is
All right,
Lizzie
all right,
Borden.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So,
that's news to me.
I don't want to talk too much about the, I feel like the murders are, like, so popular and, like, talked about all the time, so I just have a little bit, like, a quick backstory on them. So the murders were committed on August 4th, 1892. The victims were Andrew and Abby Borden. The cause of death, they were both struck by an axe or hatchet. Andrew, although the rhyme says he was struck 41 times, he was actually only struck 11 times.
Oh, only 11.
Only
Just
11.
11.
Well, they
Just
say he was
11.
struck 41.
I mean, it sounds good in the.
It does. It rhymes.
But, like,
it's great.
11
but, like, it's not
is
true.
still a lot. Like,
well, I'm not.
axes are not light.
All right, whatever. Abby was struck 19 times. So
okay. Like sticky crikey.
Yeah. They were killed in their home. Abby was killed upstairs in the guest bedroom, and Andrew was killed on the couch. Andrew was killed in his sleep. He was taking a little nap, and he was just got. And then Abby was killed upstairs while she was cleaning the room. She was facing her attacker, so it is assumed, and there were, like, no signs of a struggle or anything, so it is assumed that she knew her attacker. Lizzie supposedly came home and said to the maid, Bridget Sullivan, "Come quickly, father is dead, someone's come into the house and kill him." And then she said, "Oh, I think I heard mother come upstairs at some point, like, go check on her." And then Abby was found dead as well. The murders were supposedly committed around 11 a.m. When police arrived, they found... I love this because it shows how, like... Sorry, but it shows how useless police are. Even back then, in 1892. Police found 2 hatchets, 2 axes, and a hatchet head with a broken handle. But none of these objects could be convincingly identified as the murder weapon. And none of them were removed.
Why?
Because none of them had blood on them. Which I'll get into.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no blood on any
also
of
like
them.
the 1800s. Like, what's that John Mulaney sketch? Like, I have a hunch, and then that's just, like, what they go. Like, mop up this blood. I have a hunch. Yeah,
and none of these. It took like 3 days for them to remove any of the possible murder weapons from the scene.
How does it take you 3 days?
I don't know, because
how many sharp
it's the
objects do they have in their
1800s.
house? They can't have, like, that many, like, sharp things, right?
I don't know.
Or is everything in the 1800s sharp? I don't know.
I don't know, man. But suspects, obviously Lizzie. She had some strange contradicting answers to police questioning. There was a dress that she burned days after the murders due to red paint. Bridget claimed that she heard Lizzie laughing upstairs at some point, and why that's important is because...
Like, like, before the murders?
Well, Andrew wasn't dead yet, but Abby was.
Oh,
and
shit.
Abby was upstairs. So the reason that it matters that Bridget heard Lizzie laughing upstairs is because you would be able to see where Abby had died.
Oh, shit.
From the upstairs. Lizzie denies that, and then I don't really know if that was used in court. I couldn't find anything about that. And Lizzie also purchased prussic acid, which is poisonous to mammals.
What is prussic acid?
Oh, dude, I didn't look that up.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's
Want me to look it up?
No, it's poison. It's poison. It's like, she purchased it to clean a coat, she said.
Wait a minute. What the heck? How does it clean a coat?
I don't know. I don't know. But basically, like, that was part of, like, their case was that she had purchased this poison, whatever. Lizzie was taken to trial.
Apparently it's been used as a killing agent in whaling harpoons.
Weird. I did not know that. I didn't do any research on prussic acid.
I'm so fixated on what this is.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before.
Lizzie was taken to trial.
Oh, cyanide!
I'm so proud of you.
I'm
so
sorry.
glad you figured it out.
Sorry.
Lizzie was taken to court and ultimately acquitted. There was no, like, definitive hard proof that she was the murderer. Just a lot of...
How did they how did they like, even like if there was no definitive proof that she was the murderer, how did they charge her?
Well,
They're just like, you
she
did it. And then,
basically, like, they were like, you're the suspect in the murder.
how can
They
they
took her
just
to they took her to an inquest, and she had taken morphine to calm her nerves, and they, I guess, used the inquest against her to be like, your stories don't line up, none of it makes sense, so we're taking you to court, girl. But she was acquitted, and afterwards, her and her sister Emma purchased a house together in a different neighborhood in Fall River, Massachusetts, which is where this all took place, and they received the money from their parents' estate. Lizzie was ostracized from society, and she was accused later of shoplifting in Rhode Island. In 1905, Emma moved out of the house after an argument with Lizzie, and the two never spoke again,
Ooh.
although they died 9 days apart in 1927 and were
Oh.
buried next to one another.
Ooh.
Which I find super cool because they were very close when they were alive. Obviously, before their falling out, they were super close. But they never spoke again. But at the time of her death, Lizzie was worth $250,000, which equates to
Jeez.
over $5 million today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was that just what she inherited from her parents?
Pretty much. I didn't see anything about her, like, getting a job. She never
being
married.
a fast businesswoman, like making her own.
Yeah. No, I don't think she was. I think
Okay.
she just kind of hung out and got rich. Good for her.
Wow. Like, the less you can do, the better.
Some of the other, like, speculations that people made in the years to come. Again, I believe Lizzie was the only person ever tried and arrested for the murder of her parents. But some other theories people had was that Bridget Sullivan, the maid, was the one who murdered them because she was just she was sick and tired of working, and this very poor case.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad. You keep digging. That's what I was thinking about that.
Like, excuse me.
Her uncle, John Morris, was a suspect. And personally, I don't think Lizzie did it, or if she did do it, I don't think she did it alone.
Yeah.
I do definitely think that John Morris had something to do with it. He was a butcher who always carried a cleaver, which would explain two things. There was a lack of blood spray in the room where Abby and Andrew were killed.
Yeah.
It was very contained to the spot where they had died. And if you're, like, swinging an axe, like, it's going.
Yeah,
like,
you're
that blood is
spraying
spraying.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, like, 11 and 19 times, like, you're
yeah.
spraying blood. But there was a lack of blood spray, and there was no definitive murder weapon found in the house. So,
Okay.
John Morris had stayed the night before the murder at the Borden's house, but he did not typically do this.
I was just gonna ask, like, I get that,
Yeah.
like, you might know the butcher from, like, going down to the shop, but, like, wouldn't you be confused as to why the butcher's just in your house?
Well, he is actually, so Abby Borden is Lizzie and Emma Borden's stepmother.
Okay.
She is not actually their birth mom. Their
Okay.
birth mom died when they were young.
Oh, that's right.
And John Morse is actually their uncle from their mother's side.
Butcher?
From their birth mother's side, yes.
Oh!
So, but I've heard and read in different places that he didn't like Abby, the stepmother. He didn't come around often, but he did stay the night before the murders. Supposedly, Andrew and John, who were business partners, had argued the evening before, like the night before the murders, they argued. Rich Little, author of Cold Case to Case Closed, said that he believes Morse killed Abby Borden in a fit of rage, basically just because she's a bitch, and then possibly murdered Andrew due to their argument over business.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lizzie was involved in some way, but I definitely don't think that she carried out the murders herself.
Yeah.
Especially because they talk about the dress she wore and the dress she burned.
Mm-hmm.
The dress she was wearing the day of the murders did not have any blood on it.
Yeah, and they had a lot of layers back then. It wasn't like you just throw on a t-shirt and
it was corsets. Chain. It was like near impossible to take on and off by yourself. Yeah. So I don't think that there's any way she could have done it alone at the very least. There are theories that her and Bridget carried out the murders together because they were in an affair.
Oh,
and
I love
Abby
that for them.
And Abby discovered it and was pissed. And so they killed her. And then when Lizzie admitted to her father what happened, she killed him also because he was also pissed. There is no evidence to really support that they ever had a relationship. Okay. And there's no evidence to support that Bridget Sullivan was gay. There were speculations and rumors about Lizzie's sexuality toward the end of her life, but nothing about Bridget.
It was just like a rumor that had circulated.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it on the case. It's unsolved to this day. No one knows what happened. Probably never will. I don't think that it's like, I think it's just a cold case that is just going to never be solved, unfortunately. But if there's one thing America knows how to do, it is profit from tragedy.
Isn't that right?
And of course, I'm terrible. So, recently on my birthday, actually, my boyfriend and I went and stayed at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast in Fall River, Massachusetts. It is the house where Lizzie grew up, and it is the house where Abby and Andrew Borden were murdered.
I thought that it had, like, new owners, and they were shutting down the visiting part of it.
No, it does. I did say that it did say... They do have new owners. They were not shutting anything down. If anything, I think they're making it more marketable and touristy. Okay. Like, they're going to have axe throwing soon.
Oh.
They're going to open an axe throwing area.
That's both, like,
insane.
Perfect and awful at the same time. Like,
yeah.
I don't know whether I love that idea for, their business purposes, but I hate that.
Like, it's kind of tasteless.
It is very tasteless.
They sell,
but
they sell little hatchets and all the, like, there's like whole gift shop.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's insane.
I don't like that at all.
So it's always been, like, on my bucket list to go and visit the house. And unfortunately, like, the house itself, like, it's a house. Like, it's not super, like, exciting. It's just, like, yeah. And we spent the day in Salem, and then we made the 1.5-hour drive from Salem to Fall River to stay the night. By the time we got to Fall River and by the time we got to the house, it was, like, 9:45. Wow. And we'd spent all day walking around Salem, so we were exhausted already. And then at 10 p.m., they had a ghost hunt set up for... like, random people could come and do it, and I think people in the hotel could come and do it. And we tried to get into it, but it was too late by the time we tried to.
And, like, things you could...
They had all the equipment for you.
Wow,
like,
they
were
like,
cool.
Here.
Yeah, and it was affordable. I thought it was, like, $40 per person.
That's not bad.
Which, I mean, like, for all the equipment, 2 hours, kind of free reign.
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
So but we couldn't get into that, and then by the time we got there, we went to the, gift shop after we had, like, settled in and, like, got our stuff away. And we're in the gift shop, we're standing there, and the guy in the gift shop is like, all right, you guys, we're gonna get ready for the ghost hunt in 5 minutes. And I looked at my boyfriend and I was like, we have to go and look at the downstairs of the house now because they will take over the downstairs of the house.
Are they gonna close it, or are they just gonna, like, take it over?
Yeah, the downstairs of the house is off limits during the ghost hunt.
Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah, during ghost hunts, they're, like, it's literally, like, they are making so much money off of this tragedy. It's not even funny. Like, they do house tours, just regular old house tours from, like, 10 a.m. till, like, 5 p.m., and you have to be out of the house.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yeah, you have to be out of the house around that time, which, I mean, like, whatever. Like, there's stuff to do around town, like... But I just think that's crazy that it's like, if you're staying multiple nights, you can't be here from this time to this time.
That you are paying to stay.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
But, so, nothing happened, really. There were a couple, like, the house itself is creepy. Like, it's just like, I'm in a house that, like, is the setting for one of the most prolific murders of the past, like, generations. So knowing that is a little creepy. There was, and it's an old house, so there's all these, like, nooks and crannies. Yeah. There was a crawl space in our room.
Oh my gosh.
Like, we walked in and there was this door at the end of the room, and I was like, oh, like, must be, like, a closet or something, and I opened it. It was the creepiest fucking thing. It was, like, a crawl space, and then there was, like, a hole in the floor right in front of me. And a ladder, and I guess it was like a fire, like a makeshift fire escape or something. No, I didn't really look at it because I was creeped out, and I was like, no, I don't like that. So I shut that door tight. The door kept rattling all night, but that is just because there's no, like, locks. It's just like a latch. So the door is just kind of freely doing its thing. And I had the window open.
I don't like that.
So the door was like moving all night. And then in the morning, I woke up, the window had been opened. And then a little bit later, it was closed.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I freaked out and I said to my boyfriend, I was like, what happened to the window? Did you close the window? And he was like, no. And I started freaking out and he was like, babe, you closed it. And I was like, what? And he was like, you closed the window.
When?
And then I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, you remember closing it? Oh, you just forgot?
I did close it. I did close it and I just forgot. Yeah. I was just like, oh my God.
Were you sleepwalking? Like, what?
Yeah, no, I closed it.
My God.
I closed it when I woke up. I woke up, I went to the window, I closed it. And then I just forgot that I closed it and I panicked for a second. My boyfriend said he kept imagining that he would just wake up and like turn and look over my shoulder and see someone standing in front of the window. But he was more afraid because, like I said, there was this crawl space, but there was also like a ladder in the like crawl space area. Yeah. He was like, all I could imagine was like someone climbing up that ladder and like just sneaking into our room at night. Like,
no,
it was creepy,
ma'am.
It is creepy. My boyfriend never wants to go back because there aren't private bathrooms.
Oh yeah, but public. That's fun.
Yeah, because it's a house. It's a house, and I told him like, yeah, I mean, it was cool. Like, it wasn't. I would go back just to do the ghost hunt. I think. I don't think I would stay the night again.
No.
It was like, it was a bucket list thing I'd always wanted to do, and I'm glad I got to do it, especially like on my birthday. Yeah. It was nice.
It's a shame how how touristy it has become.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but
like, I understand doing like ghost tours or a ghost hunt, like this, but it's like we're gonna put an axe throwing, and we have a gift shop, and we have this, and we have that,
Hatchet,
and it's weird, and it's like when we were in Salem too. Christian looked at me, my boyfriend. You know that, but for our audience that doesn't, he looked at me and was like, isn't it crazy that like this entire town is a tourist attraction based on the fact that several women were extrajudicially killed
for no reason at all,
for no real reason,
or owning a cat.
And I was literally like sitting, like I was standing there and I was like, I literally have never thought about it that way. That is insane. And it's crazy, like the kind of like, it makes you think about how like people respond to tragedy and how marketable it becomes. Like, do you know how many Titanic museums there are in the country?
I don't, but
so many.
I believe it.
There's one in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. The Titanic never made it to Tennessee.
If you would have told me Pigeon Forge was a place, I never would have believed you.
Pigeon Forge is a place, and there's a Titanic museum
Why?
There. Even though, like, I don't know. I mean, do I want to go to the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge? Yes, I do. Admittedly, I do. Like, I don't know. I can't even think of anything else to, like, quite compare it to, but it's like, this whole town makes all this money in October because they capitalized on the murder of women.
Kick them all are down. Like, you're already killing these women. Let's market an entire town.
Did I go? Am I part of the problem? Yes.
You know, I would go too, though. Like, I would still go to Salem. I would love to go to Salem.
I feel like there's nothing wrong with recognizing the, like, because it's not, like, Salem wasn't just all about that. But it's definitely, and I feel like they have done, there's so many occult shops there now, and like crystals and like personal witchcraft and stuff is like becoming such a big thing. It's almost like the town is reclaiming the word witch, and it's kind of really cool to think about it that way. I don't know. Got way off topic there.
That's okay.
Yeah, right. Lizzie Borden, final verdict. I don't think she did it.
I think that is a verdict I think I can get behind that. I think at the very least she did not act alone.
No. It's almost impossible for her to.
Very true.
Almost impossible.
Well,
we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you.
Wrap it before we tap it.
Oh. I've never heard that before.
Really?
Yeah, what is that?
Wrap it before you tap it.
Is it from something?
Condoms.
Oh!
Wrap it. Like, it's like,
I was thinking like wrapping paper, or I'm in Christmas mode.
Nope.
Like,
Nope.
I'm thinking wrapping paper, or like I was thinking of like Kanye, like gonna wrap it out. Like, I don't know. I feel so dumb right now.
Cover the stump before you hump.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how you've never heard wrap it before you tap it.
I've never heard that before.
I don't understand.
I was thinking of presents. I was thinking of bows.
Christmas on the mind.
Thanks for joining us for this week. We really appreciate you listening. If you like us, give us a follow, give us a rating. It would really help us out. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at MECrisisPod. And you can email us if you have any questions, if there's a topic that you'd like us to cover, a question you'd like us to answer, a question you have about us. You can find us at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com. Is there anything else that I missed? Oh, YouTube. We're also going to be putting these on YouTube. We should be on Spotify. Basically anywhere that you listen, we will be. And we'll see you next time.
Bye!